The standard we're going to be talking about today is multiplication of multi-digit numbers by single-digit numbers. And we're going to talk about both the traditional or standard algorithm and the partial product method to solve these types of problems. Before we get started on how we solve them and how we find the product, I want you to take a look at our key vocabulary. Take a minute and write these terms down in your notebook so that you have them. And pay special attention to the keywords to look for in word problems. Word problems become huge in 4th grade, and it's going to be to your benefit to know what keywords to look for to pull them out. Now that you've gotten the key vocabulary terms recorded in your interactive notebook, we can talk about how you actually find the product. To me, the traditional or standard algorithm is best because it's the most efficient and it's really the quickest. So ultimately, this is where I want everyone to get to. I'll also show you the partial product in just a couple minutes, because that's a good way to break the problem down if you're struggling. But this is eventually what I would like everybody to use to solve it. Okay, so how do you find the product using the standard algorithm? The way you have to multiply it is by taking the top factor and multiplying it by the bottom factor. In this case, a 9. And you work through it digit by digit. So first we'll take the 9 and multiply it by the 2 in our ones place of our top factor. 2 times 9 is 18. So we're going to record the 8 in the ones place and carry the 1 right above the 6. Our next step is to multiply the 9 by the 6. 9 by 6, 9 multiplied by 6 is 54. So we're going to take that 54, add our carried 1 to it. Then we record the 5 in the tens place. And carry our 5. One of our last couple steps is to multiply 9 by our last digit in the top factor, which is a 4. 9 times 4 is 36. We add our carried 5, which gives us 41. And since this is our last digit in the top factor, we can go ahead and record both numbers. So we would put the 1 in the hundreds place and the 4 in the thousands place. So our product, or our answer of this multiplication problem, 462 times 9, is 4,158. Another strategy you can use to solve multiplication of multi-digit numbers by single-digit numbers is the partial product method. Now, to me this is a little bit slower and it takes up a little bit more time, but it's really great to help you understand the numbers that you're actually multiplying. It's a good way to visualize, and it's a good way to wrap your head around what is actually happening when you're multiplying the factors by each other. So, in this particular problem, how do you find the product? Well, the first step is to break it into parts based on the value of each digit. So that means we're solving a couple different multiplication problems, and then at the end we're going to add them together. So then, after we've broken it into chunks, broken it into parts, we can start multiplying. So the first step, I started with the biggest place, which was the 8 in the thousands place. So an 8 in the thousands place gives me a value of 8,000. When I multiply that by 9, I get 72,000. So I recorded that here. My next digit in the top factor was a 7, and that 7 is in the hundreds place. And a 7 in the hundreds place gives me a value of, you got it, 700. When I multiply the 700 by 9, I get 6,300. So I recorded that right below it, and notice that my digits are nicely lined up starting at the ones place. I wouldn't want my 6 to be lined up under my 7 because that will throw my math off when I go to add the products. The third part I'm going to multiply is the 3. And the 3 in the top factor is in the tens place. The 3 in the tens place gives me a value of 30. I'm going to take that 30 and multiply it by 9. And 30 times 9 is 270. So I'm going to record that. Still lining up my ones place, nice and neat. Now I'm ready for my fourth and final factor. And that's a 2. And the 2 in the ones place, pretty easy. The value is just 2. 2 times 9 is 18. Notice I still kept all of my digits lined up in the ones place, tens place, and so on. So then, after I've multiplied each part, I add the partial products to get the total product. So, I'm going to add up my ones place. 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 8 is 8. 0 plus 0 plus 7 plus 1 is 8 in the tens place, which would really be 80 if you're talking about value. But we'll just stick with just what the digit looks like. 0 plus 3 plus 2 is 5. 2 plus 6 gives me 8. 7, I bring that straight down. And my final product is 78,588. Now that we've covered both the traditional algorithm and partial product method, take a minute and get your interactive notebook set up. And in just a few minutes, we're going to do the practice problems together. So you can pause the video, get your notebook set up, and then come on back and we'll work through the problems together. Okay? Okay, so the first problem I'm looking at is 3,789 times 4. And I'm going to use the traditional algorithm to solve this. So first I'm going to look at 4 times 9 because this is the first digit in the top factor. So 4 times 9 gives me 36. I'm going to record the 6 in the ones place, carry my 3. My next step is 4 times 8. 4 times 8 is 32 plus 3 gives me 35. I'm going to record the 5 in the tens place and carry the 3. My next step is 4 times 7. 4 times 7 gives me 28 plus 3 gives me 29, 30, 31. I'm going to record the 1, carry my 3. Now my last factor here, I'm going to do 4 times 3, which gives me 12 plus 3 is 15. And I'm going to remember that each of my families, each of my periods on the place value chart is made up of 3. So that's where I'm going to put my comma after the first 3 digits. And my product is 15,156. Double check your work, make sure you got the same as me. And then put a little happy face next to it. We're going to look at the problem right below it. And the same approach. 3 times 7 is, I'm sure you got it, 21. Record my 1 and carry my 2. 7 times 2 is, I bet you knew that one too, 14 plus 2, which gives me 16. I'm going to take 7 times 5, which is, of course, 35. Add the 1, gives me 36. 7 times 2 is 14. 15, 16, 17. Bring all that down. Put my comma in the right place. And my final product for this problem is 17,661. Double check your math. Give yourself a nice smiley face if you followed along. Because that's in the thousands place, I know that it's 4,000 times 5. Well, I know that 5 times 4 would be 20. So 5 times 4 would be 20,000. So I'm going to go ahead and write that. I didn't give myself a whole lot of room, but I managed to squeeze it in. Now, the next digit in the top factor is a 6. Because that's in the hundreds place, I know it has a value of 600. Remember to line your digits up appropriately. I'm going to multiply that by 5 too. And because I know that 5 times 6 is 30, I know that 5 times 600 is 3000 or 3000. Again, my digits are lined up so that my addition is easier at the end. Now I'm going to look at 5 times 8. And really this is 5 times 80 because the 8 is in the tens place. 80 times 5. 5 times 8 is 40, which means 5 times 80 is going to be 400. And then I'm left with 5 times 3. 3 is in the ones place, which means it has a value of 3. And now I'm ready to add up my total product. The ones place gives me a total of 5. Tens place I have a total of 1. 4. Put my comma in place. 3 and 2. So my final product here is 23,415. And you can also write that over here. I'm going to take a look at my last problem. And I'm going to set it up the same way. My first digit is in the thousands place, and the digit is a 6, so I know the value is 6,000. 6,000 times 3, I know that 3 times 6 is 18, so 3 times 6,000 is going to be 18,000. Then I'm going to look at the 7. The 7 is in the what place? Hundreds place, which means the value is 700 times 3. It's going to be 2,100 or 2,100. I'm going to look at the 6, which is in the tens place, giving it a value of 60 times 3. 3 times 6 is, we already talked about it up here, 18. Because it's 60 and not 6, it's going to be 180. Oops, and I'll put my equal signs there. Then I'm going to look at my final digit in the top factor, which is a 2 in the ones place, so the value is just 2. 2 times 3 is 6. Now I'm ready for my last and final step. And you don't have to cross them out like that. I did it just to keep ourselves organized to make sure we didn't leave any digits out, but you do not have to do that. Bring your comma down. And I have 8 and 2 here, which gives me a full set of 10, so that means I'm going to put a 0 there, carry my 1. 1 plus 1 is 2, so my product here is 20,286. Okay, if your work looks like mine, you are all set to go. I will see you in the morning.
0, 1, 2, 3, 7, 6, 5. Good job, Ethan.